I want to start by giving a little bit of background why Parkland County went after bringing the ALUS program in, and then if we can look at the next slide here. So we'll look at the background, why ALUS, the principles of ALUS, and then we'll get into some exciting new partnership with Lac St. Anne County, and we'll even touch a little bit on the specific projects that we've already got going and are looking to do. So when the county was looking at an environmental objective, they were trying to determine a manageable way, and the objective that came up was to get environmental stewardship happening on privately held lands. So as an objective, then you had to break that down into outcomes. Three main simple environmental outcomes were the improved water quality, protection of sensitive habitat, and biodiversity enhancement. These three broad outcomes, though, are kind of difficult as a whole to address. So in order to make it tangible and manageable, we had to then look at what to target. One of the tools that we used to target areas was from the Environmental Conservation Master Plan. This map here shows areas within our county that were targeted as environmentally sensitive areas. The different colors are for different significance levels, so local or regional, national, and international as well. So we use this as one tool to target areas that we think will be most beneficial for environmental enhancement projects. Another tool that is in the works right now is a wetlands inventory for the entire county. So that just kicked off, and that will include full inventory and classification, as well as valuation consistent with the Alberta government's process. That will also include historical loss assessment from 1949 to 2013. So that will be a valuable tool for us to understand what areas could be most beneficial to have wetlands restoration or construction. So having targeted areas is one level of making the issue manageable. The next is finding deliverance mechanisms or tools to make these projects happen. So I'm sure most people are familiar with the three main options: education, regulation, and incentives. For obvious reasons, the regulation is politically unpalatable. So when looking at options, you have to consider what people want, the local environmental priorities. And when we're also looking, we took a look at the NSWA's Integrated Watershed Management Plan. So looking here at a few of it's a little fuzzy, but at a few in the red boxes of actions that were recommended for the NSWA. These look at involving mechanisms, market-based mechanisms, incentives, education, considering the political and environmental climate and factors involved. So we took a look at these directives, and as well as our own climate within our county, and then we came up with ALUS. That ALUS fits us very well. We adapted it from out east. It's a national-wide program now, and within Parkland, we took it, and we felt that it fit well, as it's a community-led, farmer-delivered approach to environmental stewardship. So the two of those three tools, the two main ones that we're employing, are the education aspect, because we work with experts both to approve projects that we're doing, as well as to make the plan on how we're doing it. And the incentive side of things, which gets a lot of people's ears perked up, is that we help with the establishment costs of projects. So we'll share those costs 50-50, and sometimes up to 100%. as well as annual payments for the areas that people have put into these projects. The annual payments are based on paying for the ecosystem services that are being produced from these projects. So this map shows that a field with a bunch of different areas, wetlands, and a bunch of potential projects. So the traditional products from this land that have the market are canola, wheat, cattle, and alfalfa. But with some ALUS projects, such as native grass restoration, wetland restoration, and many other options, the products that can be brought to market and paid for with the annual payments are the various benefits that have been talked about today: flood and drought mitigation, wildlife habitat, and many others. So the principles behind ALUS, I'll just walk through them quick, are that, and these principles have really guided why Parkland County has adopted it, is palatable and effective. So it is a voluntary program, so we don't go and tell farmers that they have to participate. So they come to us. It's community developed, where the local community develops the program respecting the agricultural and environmental priorities of the area. Farmer delivered, because the farmers are on the land and they're in the best position to deliver these projects. And science-based, I alluded to the experts that we work with for making plans, and so we have that side of it. Targeted based on the areas that are most environmentally sensitive. As I said, though, we have farmers coming to us, so if funding is restricted, that the funding will be going to the areas that we will find is the most benefit. Transparent. Any project that we come up with a farm, in collaboration with the farmer and myself, has to be approved by an advisory committee that consists of farmers in our area, as well as representatives from a bunch of different organizations, Cows and Fish and ACA and a few others. Market driven, that element is that the annual payments for the ecosystem services are based on the local rental rates. And accountable, we are audited by third party, as well as we have environmental monitoring happening both as a baseline and 5 years down the road after these projects have happened, so that we can learn, because a lot of these things are new things, and also verify that the environmental outcome is occurring. So take a look back at these recommendations from the Integrated Watershed Management Plan. ALUS fits very well with those four that I highlighted, of providing a voluntary program, creating incentives, and collaborating with expertise to make sure that what we do is effective. So a quick overview of what we've got going in Parkland. So this is our full map with all the different creek systems. So you'll see the red boxes are parcels of land that we either have projects going at this stage, or we are working to get more projects in this year. So in total, as of right now, we have 190.7 acres enrolled, and about 47 acres of wetlands is included within that. You've seen this map a lot, but I just wanted to direct you now to an area that we are targeting because of a grant that we just received in partnership with Lac St. Anne County from the Agricultural Watershed Enhancement Program from the Alberta government. So we have a grant to implement ALUS within the headwaters and the Lake Isle watershed, so the Sturgeon Headwaters. So you can see in the red box, that's that area. We're all very familiar with it. So this partnership, I just put this map up to show the divide in the county lines. It's hard to see, it's the yellow line. So because the Lake Isle bisects our two counties, we felt it would definitely be advantageous to work together to be effective and to go in on this grant application. Another idea, Candace kind of touched on this sort of thing. This is from ABMI, looking at where the agricultural land is and the forestry. So you can see it's heavily agricultural focused, and there's lots of potential for different projects. So I've talked a lot, projects, but what are they? Probably. Maybe you already know, maybe you don't. This is one project that we already have going. This is right on the northwest or southwest tip of Lake Isle. It is a creek feeding from Round Lake directly into Lake Isle. So this producer, he's running cattle through here. He came on board and wanted to fence off this creek as well as the lakefront. So the yellow lines that you'll see on the outside of those polygons are where all the fences are. It was a big project, about 3.5 kilometers of fencing. And then all the shaded yellow area is now all excluded from cattle, and that's an extensive riparian area along the creek. The blue box represents an off-site water that he also had installed, a solar-powered one. So he can still pull some water to water his cattle while excluding them from that area. So we had a drone out there to get a better understanding of what has happened in terms of putting the project in, and also to give us a baseline so that we can do this again in 5 years and have a really nice visual to share with people on top of the riparian health assessments that we'll also do to give us a more technical understanding of the impacts of this project. So you can see there, you see the off-site waters on the bottom with his solar panels. So he's pulling out, it's disturbed because he just established this. And their fence lines roughly seen. You can already see he just put these in, but there's the green area along the creek that is already improving in relation to the foreground that had cattle running in. So this project in particular, we hope to use as a demonstration. It's really advantageous to have one in such a prime location. Now that we have this funding for the collaborative project, that we can bring prospective farmers to this, can talk with the producer, see how he did it, how it works into his management plan. He worked in rotational grazing while putting in these fencing systems with his off-site water being split into 3 different troughs. So we want to be able to show that this project that provides ecosystem services is also beneficial to his management, the management of his operation. So it can be a win-win for everyone involved. So other project possibilities that we're fielding with many different producers include all manners of cattle exclusion fencing from water bodies, the off-site waters, as I mentioned, nutrient management strategies, and wintering sites for ranchers, upland and riparian area reforestation, and wetland restoration, henhouse installation, and native grassland planting. So a lot of these projects provide habitat and various different ecosystem services that we've been talking a lot about today, particularly with flood and drought mitigation, providing those wetlands in these areas that will protect against those pulses. So when we were starting this program, we actually had a lot based on our county composition of many acreages. We had a lot of people from acreages who said, well, I'm not an agricultural producer, but I'd like to do something too. So in order to accommodate that and to get the full private land base involved and excited, we wanted to harness that. So we brought the Green Acreages program in, and we used both the expert collaboration as well as cost sharing to help them do projects on a smaller scale, but we looked for the same ecosystem services being produced. There isn't the annual payment side of things because they're not part of the working landscape, but the cost sharing still happens. And I've talked a lot about the collaboration. We work with many different organizations who sit on our advisory committee, as well as help us get projects going. So it's been really great to learn communally. That's all I have. Thanks very much, and please feel free to give me a call or catch me quick before I go jump on the combine after this.